Hi everyone, and welcome to the My Message podcast. My name is Kyia Mochitani, and I'm your host for today's episode. Every episode, it'll be me right here. And on the My Message podcast, we are working to make our messy life our message. And so, without further ado, I just want to get started into the video or the episode. Today, we're going to be talking about a pretty heavy topic. It's how to deal with people in your life who are unsupportive of either the life path that you're choosing or the career path that you're choosing or any decision that you made. How to deal with people who are unsupportive. Even if that's your closest friend, your ride or die, or even your family, even your parents, even your siblings. And so I have this deep knowing that there's so many people out there who are struggling with this right now, and I don't feel like a lot of people are even talking about it, and I just want to share my journey with you about it, and give you some examples. And so to warm up, I want to give you some examples. Ready? Maybe your family is broken because of a decision you decided to make. Maybe your friends are no longer your friend from a decision you decided to make. Whether that be a job, whether that be the religion you're choosing to follow, a college you decided, you know what, just because everyone in my family's going doesn't mean I have to go. Or your parents or your friends or your family aren't supportive about a life path that you're choosing, whether that be going to cosmetology school or starting a podcast or starting a business or investing into real estate, something different. Maybe it makes you feel like, wow, my parents are supposed to be the supportive people in my life. While my best friend is supposed to be the one to support me, they're supposed to be my safe space. Home is supposed to be my safe space, but now it's such an unsettling place to be in. I want you to know that I'm here for you. Number one, I'm here for you, and I get you on a religious level because I'm here in that right now as we speak. And I really quick want to preface, my family, they're awesome. They're incredible people, but I'm just choosing something different. And so it's been hard for all of us to understand or come to terms with. And so I just want to share my journey with that. I'm going to talk about, my parents, family, friends, initial reaction to me dropping out of school, to me starting a podcast, to me just doing something so taboo kind of thing. I'm going to talk about, my parents' friends' reaction while I was literally in the midst of dropping out, and now where we are all at right now in this moment. And then I'm going to share how I got through that. So I feel like this can be so good for so many people because this is such a heavy topic, right? I can't even explain it to you. In the moment while you're struggling with this, it's all you want is for people to understand you. All you want is for somebody to be like, you know what? No, but I get you. I understand where you're coming from, and no, you're not crazy. And so I want to be that person for you because I truly believe that if you're doing something different, then that's something to be proud of yourself for, and that takes a whole lot of strength. So I just want to acknowledge that before we start. Number one, my parents' initial reaction. When I told them or would bring up the idea, you know what, I don't think I'm going to go to Ole Miss next year because I was a freshman at Ole Miss before I officially dropped out. But I don't think I'm going to go to Ole Miss next year, Mom. It was oh my gosh, the end of the world. We would butt heads like no other. I ended up I remember at Ole Miss, I created a slideshow presentation as to all the reasons why I should not be going back to Ole Miss. And I presented it over Zoom on screen share. I was very professional about, why I'm not going to go back there. And my mom just didn't understand. And it just was this ongoing rift between us where it just was a really hard season because you're boatloads away, miles away from from home, right? I'm in the middle of Mississippi and I live in Southern California, and all I want is for some kind of love, that far. But instead, my mom and my dad and my family and I were just kind of not on the same page and not in alignment. And so it was really, really hard for me. It literally felt like, oh my gosh, I'm all on my own. I'm kind of like feeling like I'm gonna cry talking about it. I'm so lame, but it just felt like so hard. And so if this is you right now, where you're going through such a hard time with your family, with your friends, with somebody, just know you're not alone, and I get you. I understand. And so it was just arguing every single time we talk. Every single time college would be brought up, every single time, no. I remember, people wanted to, for some reason, sign a lease very early at Ole Miss. And so I was nowhere near ready to sign a lease, and I was in no rush to do so. And so I remember just telling my parents, I'm not signing a lease. I'm not getting myself into something that I know I might have to back out of. Like, that's bananas. I'm not going to be signing a lease, Mom. I don't know for sure if I'm going here next year. That's crazy. And that also started some things. So it was just hard, It just was like, okay, at the end of the day, I didn't see where they were coming from, and they didn't see where I was coming from, which was really hard, At the end of the day, it just felt like they didn't believe in me, that like they didn't believe in like my God-sized dreams, that they didn't believe in my ability to make it. And it just was such like a, oh my gosh, but only if you believe. Like, I kept having this thought of like, no, but if only you believed in me and in my ability, would you let me just make my own decision? If only you believed in me. If only you just were like, you know what? No, she's got it. She's done all this on her own. She's done all of this. No, but she's got it, And it's not always easy like that. And it gives me, something to fight for and something to like really get after. And that was just hard. My parents and friends and family, I don't even want to just keep saying my parents. It's just, I don't know, just what comes to mind first. But everyone's reaction while I was dropping out of school. I remember I told my friends, we were all at a brunch, and I haven't seen my friends in a while. And so we were all at a restaurant, and I told them, you know what, I think I'm going to drop out of school. And it wasn't for sure yet, but it was like, and I'm really getting to the point, I don't think I'm going to be going to school anymore. The first thing one of them said to me was, oh, but I would let your podcast take off first before you do that. And they were just railing me with like, are you sure you want to drop out of college? It's so important for this. You're not going to get a good career, 9 to 5, blah, 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 blah. And I just had to sit through that, gathering of like, oh my gosh, can we not just be proud of me? Like, can we not just be proud that I put myself out there to like start a podcast and do something so different in my family? Like, it was just such like the hardest restaurant, brunch, dinner, lunch, whatever. It was like the hardest thing I've had to sit through. It was like, wow, like you guys are like been my friends for forever, and you can't even, wow, that was hard. Just wow. And then finally, I remember I talked about in a few of my episodes of like, I actually sat my parents down and I said, you know what, I'm no longer going to school. I looked them dead in the face and I said, I'm not doing it anymore, because after Ole Miss, I went to Saddleback for 3 days and then I dropped out, right? So I remember looking them dead in the face and saying, I'm not doing it. I can't do it. Like, this life is for me. I'm not going to just put 4 more years of my life aside for your dreams for me. I'm actually going to do that for my dreams for myself. And in that moment, my mom was like, okay, fine. These are all of the things you got to pay for. And to me, it felt like she was kind of calling me bluff. Like, these are all the things you got to pay for. You ready for that? Good luck. And my dad was so sad. He was actually crying. I don't remember the last time I see my dad cry. And he was like, are you really sure, Kyia, you want to do this? Like, you're going to be causing a lot of problems in the family. And I said, no, but Dad, my dreams are so big. Like, I have God-sized dreams, and I know that I'll get there, Dad. Like, I know it. Like, just let me struggle. Let me hit rock bottom. If this is wrong of me to do, just let me hit rock bottom and I'll figure it out, Dad. Like, I can do it. And yeah, my mom, I just felt like she was trying to call me bluff, and it was like, okay, well, I'm actually going to be doing this. Like, I am done. I'm doing it and I'm done. And she said, you have 30 days to figure it out. And I said, no problem. 30 days is just enough time for me. Thank you. I'm on lock, let's go, kind of thing. And so ended up I'm making it work, making do. Yeah, that was how it was. And my friends, while it was happening, was like, it's not, I don't really feel like they had any more of an opinion, because they're like, okay, well, at this point, we're really not going to be able to stop her, like, knock any sense into her. Like, she's just going to do her thing, kind of thing. So, it wasn't like they didn't want to be my friend anymore. It wasn't like anything like that. It was just like, okay, well, not that I think this is the best thing, but you do you, boo, kind of thing. And then my parents' reaction right now, and like where my friends, family, and I are all at right now in this moment, we're all fine, right? Like, so I live at home and I pay rent at home every month, and it's fine. I hate Venmoing my dad the money, because I'm like, oh my God, this is literally like my hard worked money that I'm just sending away to you for you to spend on I don't even know what. Like, this is so painful. But I know it'll teach me a good lesson, and I know they're doing it for like my benefit in the future, which is fine, which is great. Thanks for the lesson. But sometimes in the middle of it, it's like so hard. You know, like when people tell their story of like, you know what, I made it. This is the moment. Like, these are all of the things that I've done, and I want you to learn from my story. And these are all of the things I've done to get to where I am now. No, like, I'm living in it right now. So I want you guys to just understand that I'm in it with you right now as we speak. Like, I'm not on my A game all the time. I'm not like at this point in my life where I'm like, I made it. Like, listen to what I have to say and do it. It's like, no, like, this is like literally what I just have been going through, and like this is literally like my life right now. I have to pay rent at home, and it is so hard. It is so painful. I have to work so much. It is so hard and so painful. Like, to be in full transparency, right when I went from job 1 to job 2, I didn't have really any downtime, and so straight from job 2, I drove here, got ready, I ate really quick, got ready, and I'm filming an episode. So it's like, I'm just going. But this is the life that I'm choosing, which is so awesome and so cool to even think about. You know what I mean? But my parents' reaction right now is just like, you know what? Like, we can't stop her. And at this point, like, we all have to like get along and make amends. I don't think this is the right path for you, but you do you, boo, kind of thing. So it's taken us a long time to get here, because I remember last December, I wasn't feeling too hot about Ole Miss. I wasn't feeling too hot about school. So a whole year later, I dropped out of school. I'm doing my thing. I'm making it work, and I feel so freaking happy. So it's been pretty cool to see it all go, see it through. I think my biggest struggle throughout this whole time of like, you know, dealing with people who don't get it, or who aren't supportive, or who don't agree with the life that you're choosing, it's like there's just such a big disconnect. Like, I feel like I'm right here, and then my family's right here, and in between us is this like deep valley of like this deep abyss of like, wow, we got a long jump to get together, you know, we got a long way to get to be good and to be great again. But I know that I have faith, and I truly believe that I think we can all, you know, make amends and make it, you know, good again. Yeah, that's all I want to say about that, really. I feel like it also leaves some kind of like resentment towards one another. Like, I resent my mom in a way of like, oh, but how could you do this to me? Or how could you not believe in me? Or how could you not see me through? I resent my dad in the way of like, but dad, don't you want to support me? Like, I'm your daughter. Like, how can you make me just Venmo you all this money? And then, you know, like, how could you do that? Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. And I don't want to have resentment towards anyone. And then they have resentment towards me of like, this is the life. You're going rogue, Kyia. Like, you're not following anything like that we paved out for you. Because in all honesty, it's been my parents' dream to be able to be stable enough to provide their kids with a higher education, because they weren't able to have one. And so they kind of felt like it was like this slap in the face of like, you're not even grateful for the like what we have set out for you, kind of thing. But I like, oh, it's so hard because then my like God-sized dreams come into play, and they're like, no, but Kyia, like you have all these God-sized dreams, so you can change the trajectory of your family tree, that you can financially like change your parents' lives for good. So then they don't have to work their tail off for me anymore, because so they don't have to devote their whole life to, taking all of us from game 1 to game 2 to this and this, from dances to flying out to for parents weekends and all this stuff. It's like, no, but like I want to provide for them, and like I have all these God-sized dreams, and I have faith that I can do it. So I can do it. And here's how I got through it, and how I'm getting through dealing with the people that aren't supportive, dealing literally like in the moment of like looking like the people who don't support you dead in the face and having a disagreement. Like, how do you get through that? How do you go home when home is like an unsettling place? How do you go from leaving a university and then doing your own thing? How do you make that work? How do you deal with the people that are shunning at you, who don't agree with you, who don't want that same relationship with you anymore? How do you make it work? How do you live with a family that all went to Alabama, but then now you want to go to Arizona? How does that work? You're the one in your family going to University of Arizona, but your entire family went to Alabama. How does that work? And so here's literally how I'm getting through it and how I got through it. I just had to bet on myself. Point blank, period. I was no longer relying on my family for support. I was no longer relying on my friends. Granted, it's nice. I want that, but no longer am I needing that. I have to bet on myself. I have to be the one to say, you know what? No, I'm actually going to take my life, take my path into my own hands and do what I feel like is called on my heart to do. And so I just had to bet on myself and bet on the fact that like I'm the one who can make this whole thing work. Granted, I have the Holy Spirit embedded in my heart, and so I followed that, and like that's the thing that I follow and that helps me through. But I follow where Jesus is leading my heart, and so that's what I'm doing in this moment, right? So it's like I had to work my literal tail off. Just because I follow Jesus, just because I'm choosing this path, just because I'm starting a podcast, doesn't mean it's going to be easy. Doesn't mean that it's going to be smooth sailing from here. Just because I have something figured out doesn't mean it's just going to be a breeze, right? And so I didn't want to give my family or my friends any if, whats, or buts about anything. I wanted them to see how hard I'm working. I wanted them to see like, you know what? No, I'm doing this all on my own, and I'm true to my word of like, when I say I'm going to do something, Mom, I'm doing it. Like, when I say I'm going to put so much time and effort into this podcast, no, I'm actually doing it. I had to bet on my why. I had to bet on my ability. I had to really understand, no, I have the power. Like, I can do it. I had to understand that what they want is what's best for me at the end of the day, through their own ways and their own lens. Let me add that part. So at the end of the day, my family and friends want what's best for me through their own ways and through their own lens. And so I had to take that into consideration and truly see like, okay, so my mom said, Kyia, you should go to college and be a sports broadcaster. Okay, Mom, I value your opinion. You're my mother. Thank you for your opinion. Let me see if it's truly aligned with where I want to be. No, it's not. Okay, so no, I'm not going to be taking your advice. My parents are so freaking awesome and have such an awesome story, the two of them, and like have worked their freaking tails off and have worked so hard for to be where they are at today, right? But in the kindest way, I don't want the life that they're living right now. And it's hard for me to take their advice when they're not living like the future that I want. Even my friends, for instance, my friends at that gathering, at that restaurant, I don't want the future that they want. So no longer am I going to be taking their advice. And so I really want to empower you in the sense of like, look at the people of the future that you want. Look at the people who have the life that you want to live, whether that be a freaking doctor, whether that be someone who's worked their way up the ladder for a corporate job, whether that be a real estate investor, whether it be an entrepreneur, podcaster, whatever that person looks like to you, take their advice, because they're living, breathing the life that you want to live, right? Which is like kind of controversial for me to say, because I love my family. They've worked so hard, but I don't want the life that they're living. No offense. There's nothing wrong with it, but I just don't. And so I'm not going to take advice from people who just don't have my future. So that's that. I just have this like knowing in my heart that like this life path that I'm on right now is meant for me. Like, this is what I should be doing, and I want this feeling for you. I don't want you to give up on one of your dreams or to not do something that you truly want to do because of other people in your life that could stop you. I want you to feel so in tune. I don't want you to be going to a school you don't want to be going to. I don't want you to be going to school if you don't want to be going to school. I want you to take your own life into your own hands, make your own decisions so that you can, number one, feel so freaking proud of yourself, and number two, to just be so in tune with your heart and in your life. I felt like it was called on my heart not to go to Ole Miss. I felt like it was called on my heart not to go to college. I felt like it was called on my heart to start a podcast, and so this is what I'm doing. I'm listening to what's being told to me, and put on my heart, and like where I feel like my heart is leading me, and I have truly never felt better. And I'm not saying you have to be religious for that. I'm not saying that, but like whatever you feel like, whatever can guide you to that point, whether that be you all on your own, whether that be the Holy Spirit embedded in your heart, whether that be the universe, whether that be whatever, follow that, because that means that they like that knows something more than you do, right? I just don't want you to feel like you have to stop doing what you're doing because of the other people that are put in your life. Like, that just feels like, oh, so hard for me to even like grasp the thought of. I just feel like the life path that I'm choosing, it really, at the end of the day, I do not care. It does not matter if the closest people in my life don't understand. Because I mean, how the hell are they supposed to understand? When it gets hard, it's like, okay, you got to ask yourself why 7 times. Have you ever heard that? It's like, ask yourself why 7 times. Why are you pursuing this career? Why do you want to have this kind of future? Why are you going to this school? Just ask yourself why 7 times. Find that deeper why. I say this, I've literally said this so many times, and I will say it literally a million times if need be. But it's, if your why is so big, then how it happens will fall into place, will fall right into place. If your why is so big, is so compelling, if your why is what keeps you going, is your motor, then how everything will happen will literally happen, because you want it that bad, because your why is pushing you that bad. And so if your why is so big, then it really doesn't matter who's supporting you and who's not supporting you. It doesn't matter if people don't get it. And like I said, how are they supposed to get it? How are my friends supposed to get it when they don't understand, or they haven't lived my life, or they haven't seen my God-sized dreams, or they haven't fully understood my dreams or my future that I want for myself? If you have God-sized dreams, just know that you're going to have to sacrifice so much, whether that be people, whether that be relationships, whether that be living at a place that sometimes is unsettling, whether that be the risk of people not understanding you, or the risk of doing something different. Because if you're doing something different, I'm so freaking proud of you. I'll say it again, and I'll say it a million times. Like, that takes guts, and that is so freaking amazing. And I want to be your cheerleader in that moment, and in this moment, and in this journey for you. So whatever way I can do that, just know that, like, I'm just at a loss of words, because that's just so incredible. And so, that is my take on how to deal with unsupportive people in your life, and how to get through it in the moment. Just know that I'm been there, right there with you guys. Anyway, I love you guys so very much. I hope you like the new setup, the new camera, the new audio on YouTube and everything. I'm really trying to vamp it up and really, really trying to grow the show. So, I love you guys so much. Thank you so much for your time. I love you a million times. I hear you. I see you. I believe in you. Mwah. At the end of the day, I just love you. Have the best day ever. Mwah.